Hello, welcome to hashtag whereiwrite. I'm Austin Grossman, author of the novels Soon I Will Be Invincible, and You, and the forthcoming Crooked, coming from Mulholland Books in July of this year. And welcome to Where I Write. This is a hotel room, as you can see. It's in Southern Florida. Although, in my case, it might as well be in New York, or in Seattle, or Los Angeles, or Scotland, or Rome. Here, most importantly, is my suitcase. It's a very large one. I think for scale, it could probably hold a small or medium-sized jukebox, or a child of agreeable disposition, or a bear cub, potentially. In my case, it holds, what does it hold? Menswear, bottle opener, lots of menswear, books, a bottle of wine, and a corkscrew. The point is, as much as anything, where I write is a thing that I take with me. This is an environment, sort of workshop that travels with me wherever I go. I can unpack it. I have my laptop. I have my notebooks. I have my pens and paper, and I unpack it, and I'm ready to go. Because I write wherever I am. I write all the time. I write in the margins of books. I write on envelopes and programs in the theater, or in the back of failed attempts at other drafts. I might write a whole scene. I might write a sentence or a phrase. I manufacture a little space for myself on buses, in coffee shops, perched on the edge of the bed at 1 in the morning, because I have to write something down or I'll forget it. I write it longhand during movies where I can't even see what I'm writing. I write anywhere. I'll write in the middle of a therapy session. If I'm having dinner with you, I may stop and pull out my notebook and write down something I thought of, because you have to, or at least I have to. You have to beg and borrow and steal a little time for yourself, because the world is not really waiting for your novel. The world doesn't want to make space for your novel. It's something you sort of carve out wherever you happen to be, in whatever hotel room you're presented with, because you have to sort of wrestle it away from the world. And that is where I write. That is sort of how I write. I do write it in a long series of notebooks, and then when it's done, I transcribe it on a computer, and I print it out, and I scribble on it again. And that's more or less how it works, and I think how it works for a lot of people. I'm going to give a short reading from my forthcoming novel, which again is Crooked. It's about the secret life of Richard Nixon, and the secret history of his political career and his political downfall. It'll be a very short excerpt from early in the book, but it is kind of in the middle of things. He's sitting by himself in the Oval Office on the night of June 17th, 1972, which is the night of the Watergate break-in. And he's waiting to hear what will happen over at the Watergate Hotel. And he's thinking back on his life and how he got there. The clock on the wide wooden mantelpiece read 12:07 a.m., the first minutes of June 18th, 1972. 1 mile to the east of the Watergate Hotel. Pat would be asleep by now. No one awake but me and the security guards. Franklin D. Roosevelt built the modern version of the Oval Office in the 30s, and there's still something a little strange about it. At this hour, it can feel like a time machine, going back to the barren swampland that once was here, the square miles of muck and still black water of Washington, D.C., that was here when the first pilgrims arrived at Plymouth and started dying through the winter. I stubbed out my cigarette, and I took off my jacket. The phone rang once. the signal that Henry's team was climbing the hotel stairway to the 8th floor. It was time for me to do my part. I closed the blinds, I knelt down, and rolled back the carpeting to reveal the great seal of the office. I rolled up my left sleeve and cut twice with the dagger, as prescribed, to release the blood of the democratically elected, the duly sworn, and consecrated chief executive. I began to chant from the secret articles of the United States Constitution. These were not the duties of the U.S. presidency as I had once conceived them, nor as most citizens of this country still do. But ask yourself if everything in your life is the way they told you it would be. I speak the words, I light the incense, and I try to clear my mind. The first time I was here was with Eisenhower in 1953. Eisenhower, the last president born in the 19th century, a man who knew mysteries you and I will never guess at. Eisenhower, who once told me he wasn't afraid of the future, just the past. I put my jacket back on, thinking ahead to what they might find in that room on the 8th floor of the Watergate Hotel. Chairs pushed back to the wall for some arcane ritual. A dead man in a wool suit seated in the lotus position in the exact center of the room, frozen solid despite the heat of a June night in Washington. Packing crates marked in Cyrillic black feathers. After the night is over, the Cubans would do their part to act out the scenario we agreed on. They'd be found, and the police would be summoned, and the whole team would be taken off to jail and revealed to be amateurish hired hands caught in the wrong place. They would act their part, and they would drop the right clues. Someone would begin following the chain of evidence I had so carefully placed. History would take its turn, and my public life would begin to unravel. It's now been 20 years since I was forced to stage my own death. I outlived the hippies. I outlived Elvis and Marlene Dietrich and the Soviet Union itself. The tiny silicon disk on the moon that bears my name is still up there gathering dust. I lived to see myself become a laughingstock, a cartoon villain. In the August roll of the history of the presidents, I'm the place where everyone pauses and snickers. This is the true story of the great con game of American history in the 20th century. It's not history as you know it. There are at least 3 sides to this story, and I'm going to tell you both of mine. And I promise you, I will show you the same contempt for the historical record that it has shown for me. My name is Richard Milhouse Nixon. I swore an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. I was educated at Whittier College in Whittier, California, and I have seen the devil walk. Thank you. That's the end of Chapter 1 of Crooked, coming from Mulholland Books on July 28th. And thank you for being here for #whereiwrite.